Very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mamani. I hope you all are doing good and a very warm welcome to Study IQ. Dear friends, let's have a positive start. Work hard. Now, I would like to respond to many comments that I have received regarding shall we go through the newspaper, or is it important for us to read newspapers, right? Yes, it is important for you guys, right? This analysis, the best thing that I can reckon is go through the analysis video first, then go through this lecture slide, which you can obviously download on regular basis from my Facebook page or from our Telegram channel or from our website. So go through the notes that are provided, or this lecture PDF, and then I would reckon to go through your newspapers. It is very important that you read newspaper. The thing is that with the help of this analysis, right, the Hindu analysis that we provide on regular basis, things becomes much easier for you. And what happens is, see, you have to spend nearly 4 hours on an average, and then as well you should have good amount of background information and knowledge about pre-existing knowledge about the things that are said here. So if you think that you don't have that much background understanding, then yes, go through the video and then read the newspapers, and do read these articles. It is very important, and I must say here that there is no substitute of hard work. Not at all. There is no magic wand. You have to work hard, and then only you will be able to succeed. With this, dear friends, moving on, StudyIQ provides pen drive and tablet courses, and at present Valentine Day sale is going on. It is going to last till 15th February, so make sure you make the most out of it. Now let's go through this editorial and op-ed pages. We are going to drop these two articles here. This one is of no use to us. This one as well. If you want, you can go through this one. It's up to you. This one is not that important, but yes, we have two on health. This one and this one, very important. Both of this editorial and this article, important items. And you have this one regarding Maldives and this one about Bangladesh. So let's start with the states, or this health thing, the Niti Aayog's health index, that the latest one is out. And if you remember, a couple of days ago this was in as a news item, right? We talked about this thing, and I would like to add one more thing as we are discussing, as I said, news item. See, many times we run out of time, so I have to be quick. I just give you the gist of the news, right? But as you know, you have to download this file and then you have to read these items. So I do provide you gist, and I don't want you guys to become lazy and rely on me, right? The best that I think as a teacher, I want to be your wings, or I want to be your legs, so you can run and fly. I don't want to be your sofa on which you can lie down for the whole day and do nothing. No, this is not. Spoon feeding is something that I hate the most. And this is the thing, because for a very long period of time, people around, even other teachers as well, and I feel very sad about this thing, that they give too much of spoon feeding, and no work. Means everything is, we are making more and things, even with studies as well, we are making it more sort of a matter of luxury. Even our prayers as well, right? We pay money to someone and that person will pray for us. Very strange thing. Anyways, so news items, right? If this was in as a news item, and at that point of time we talked about this thing, that this new index is out. This is for the first time that Niti Aayog is coming out with a health index. Now, basic things regarding it: Kerala, Punjab, Tamil Nadu, they are the best performing states in our country, and you can say the backbenchers are this Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Bihar, Odisha and Madhya Pradesh. Now the thing is, some background and important information or important items associated with this thing, this topic. Healthcare delivery is the responsibility of state government. Very important point for every one of us to understand, that when it comes to hospitals, right, this government hospitals, it is the responsibility of state government. What central can do, or the central government can do, is central government can provide money and it can create policies, or it can come out with policies, and based on your central policies, the states, right, you have to create, or if you are a state, then you have to design your policy in line with central's policy. You can have a bit of customization, and this is the strength, because say for example, if you are suffering from, or if your state is a sort of state that is affected by a couple of specific diseases, then of course you need to have that elbow room, or you need that flexibility to deal with that particular disease. And there are other factors as well. So in this way, broader policy is provided by, a big picture is provided by the center, and then you can have your own customization, right? This is the main role of state as far as health is concerned. The second thing is, 17 sustainable development goals under United Nations to be achieved by 2030, and this is not only for our country, this is for the whole world. And to be honest, the way things are going on at present around the world, I don't think so that I seriously wish that we are able to achieve this. When I say we, I mean to say humanity and the whole world, right? I seriously wish and pray that we are able to achieve this sustainable development goals, SDGs. But the thing is, the way things are going on, it doesn't look that we would be able to cut the muster, because here you see that states' performance matters a lot. If we want our rank of our country to go up, then as you know now that healthcare delivery is the responsibility of state governments. So if they are not performing, or in fact if a couple of states are not performing, or if they are poor performer, then overall ranking of India will come down. So here we need cooperative federalism, very important, right? Both Niti Aayog, central government as well as state governments together, they can come on board, and we can have something like this GST council, where you have your different representatives, and then you negotiate things, and if something on which you don't agree, then you can have voting system and things like that. Now one more thing, and this is again a very important point. You can spend hours and hours thinking about this statement here. Healthcare is not a mainstream political issue in India and hardly influences electoral results. One of the most important thing, right? Our health. Imagine when you are not, even if you are going through this cold and flu, normal cold and flu, then as well you will hate your day, isn't it? You won't enjoy your day. You won't be able to do productive works and things. Everything will be a struggle. This indicates that when our health is not right, everything falls down. It's a big skyfall for us. And this is one of the most important thing in India, right? We have this culture. I'm not sure whether this is discussed in, or this is something that we find in all parts of our country. But you might have heard about this thing, that whatever we do is for our stomach at the end of the day. That means it is not only about filling your tummy with food, it is about your health, right? The background meaning is that it is about your health, it is about your well-being. So if you are working hard, if you are doing labor work or white collar work, whatever you are doing, at the end of the day you are trying to give yourself a better life, isn't it? So healthcare is not health is in fact one of the most important thing, and it is not a mainstream political issue. Now you can think about it, why it is not a big political issue, and the reason why I'm asking you to think about it is because this is how you will develop your capacity. You will develop your observation power, right? Remember, if you have attended or if you have watched this political campaign rally, then what are the topics that they talk about nowadays, right? That this party has said that, that party has said that, and that party has done that, etc., whatever, right? This is something that that works. But the sad thing is, the people of our country, we are not taking our health that seriously. But when I say health, I'm not talking about personal care, I'm talking about public health, right? And this is visible from our infrastructure. Look around you, cleanliness, right? Do you know that nearly 50,000 rupees, on an average, 50,000 rupees per family, and particularly those families having small babies. They spend per year for medicines and other things because of lack of cleanliness. One of the main reasons why their kids they are ill most of the time or quite frequently is because of lack of clean environment. Then you have this outdoor food thing. Some of the things that I'm discussing here are practical, but these are the things I believe we don't think about it on regular basis. So outdoor, when you eat out, right, in our country, it is again a very common thing said by our mothers and our family members: don't eat out. Whatever you want to eat, make sure you eat at your home, because outdoor food or whatever food that you buy from outside is not of good quality. Now, the way things are changing in our India, isn't it? Many of you would be living outside, many of you would be living in bigger cities, and your rest of your family would be living in a rural area, and you are there in the bigger city for either for your studies or for your livelihood or for your job or business or whatever. So of course you have to rely on outdoor food, but when we are not having, or when no one is there to check this outdoor food quality or the food that we purchase, so this again indicates that our lack of you can say interest when it comes to health, because everything, right, it is proven as well. If you go to any doctor and if you ask doctor regarding it, you will find that doctor will tell you that good food is a very important thing. So there are other things as well. Now I will leave it on you guys. You can, if you have some of your own observations, right, then you can share it in the comment section, and if you want, you can think about it. So this statement here, you can go on, and I will reckon all of you to do think about this statement and why it hardly influences electoral results, right? What are the reasons why one of the most important thing of our life is not one of the most important thing of this electoral discussion? With this, dear friends, what we get from this index, right, the benefits of this type of index is, first, that interstate inequalities, right, we can identify them, and only once when we identify a problem, only then we can sort that problem out. Then we can compare different states, and then we can learn the mistakes or the good things, best practices, and from this thing we can understand like which state is standing where, what is the position of a bigger state or a smaller state or a union territory, and then we can have our own customized strategy that we were talking about. Now this index is coming right after this National Health Protection Scheme. We are going to talk about this thing as well in detail, so I will provide you details regarding this one a bit later on. So this index is coming after union budget and this NHPS, and this NHPS, or this index in fact is using these parameters or metrics like institutional delivery, systematic reporting of tuberculosis, access to drugs for people with HIV/AIDS, and immunization levels, and out-of-pocket expenditures and other things. So good, you can say, metrics, but there are many that are ignored, or not ignored, but I must say that they are not on board. So we need to widen the horizon of this metric and this index. Of course, it will get a bit more refined as we move ahead. This is the first one, and we have to scale up investment, the money that we are investing, right? It's not spending, it is investing. When you are investing, or when you are taking out this money and when you are using it for preventing this health issues, then this is, you can call it an investment. But if it is after, then you can call it as a sort of expenditure. So investment should go up. Only then, when we have enough hospitals and other facilities, only then we would be able to achieve all the things that we want. And socialization of medicine. Couple of days ago, in recent past, Niti Aayog has also said that this scheme, we can execute this scheme if we make this medicines and other items associated with medical sector. When I say medical sector, I mean to say these hospitals and clinics and everything. We can cover all these things without creating any problem problems with money or funds as far as taxation is coming in, as far as government is having enough revenue, or it is charging us some sort of cess or bit of extra tax and things like that. Now again, we can club this thing, and I have in fact clubbed both these items together because they are talking about same thing. It is about health, and this one is particularly talking about this National Health Policy 2017. Now this scheme, basic detail, again, I'm sure most of you would be aware about this thing, but again very quickly, it is about providing up to 5 lakh rupees coverage, insurance, health insurance per family per year for secondary and tertiary care. So one of the biggest drawback from this line you can understand is this primary health care. Now for primary health care, if say for example, if I'm coughing from last couple of days and if I don't have money, and then I will ignore it and think about that it's fine, I'm going to get all right, but later on I find that I am suffering from TB. So the reason why this coughing converted or it got bad later on, this is just an example, right? I'm not being too technical. You would say that when you are affected by bacteria, then you start coughing, and even if you go, but the suffering and other things or the severity would be bit down, isn't it? It would be a bit less compared to when you are in a sort of extreme stage. So then I have to knock doors of this bigger hospitals in urban area. So if I am provided this sort of primary health care is provided to me, then most expensive portion is this one compared to this one. So we will save huge amount of money if we cover this thing. So this is something that this scheme should cover. Now we have a news item today in which that news item is saying that in near future we are going to see ministers and important people, they are going to discuss this scheme in detail, and of course they will provide us a draft of this new policy, and then people will respond to it, and then we will have a refined version. Anyways, 10 crore, when this scheme is trying to cover 10 crore poor families, so roughly speaking, approximately we are talking about 50 crore people, right, as beneficiary of this National Health Protection Scheme, biggest in the world. Now Government of India has kept aside 2000 crore for this for 2018-19. Now it's very simple to understand. If we apply our logic then as well, 2000 crore for 50 crore people, if you divide it, you will find that it is peanuts. And as per other estimates, we need at least 10,000 to 12,000 crore rupees for this scheme. Now how we are going to get it, there are many ways. You can reliance on taxation, and extra cess and other things are of course there. And we have to understand one more thing, that the Government of India, the target group is this bottom 40%, right? 50 crore, this 50 crore are bottom 40% of our population. Bottom 40%, that we are talking about the poor, right, who are under poverty line, and the government is trying to cover them with this health insurance. Nothing bad, intention is good, but we need proper tools or proper way to do it. Now just to bring the entire 40% of the population under health insurance is a huge task with fiscal implication. If we go through the outcomes of this Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, that provides you a cover of 30,000 rupees, right? Even with this Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, you find that the coverage is not that good. We are trying to cover this again in this RSBY as well. 40% is our target, but in reality we are able to cover only 10% of this population. The other thing is as per National Sample Survey, bottom 40% was the expenses regarding this health expenses of this bottom 40% was 14,286.82 crore in 2014, right? This is how much government paid, and premium which needs to be paid by the government in this new scheme, it would be much higher. We are in 2018 now. The other thing is reimbursement. When it comes to insurance, see, first of all, our government hospitals are not in a good shape. We don't have that many hospitals in terms of quantity and quality. I don't have to say, I'm sure you have seen, I'm sure you are aware about this quality of government hospitals. There are a few good examples, but overall not that good when you compare it with private hospitals. So all your this patients, right, they are going to visit these private hospitals because they are now covered with this insurance. Now if you go through this insurance being provided to you, and then at the end of the day, these hospitals, right, private hospitals, they will get money from the government, but they are unwilling, or the other insurance companies, right, they are not ready to accept this thing, or they don't fancy this thing when the money is going to come from government because of delays. And if this sort of things are going to take place, then what will happen is that they will say no to this type of insurance. Then you will have all these problems of cases going on and deaths and other things, and this whole thing will create more pressure. It will in fact destroy or disturb this whatever efficiency we have. So a good you can say policy, a thoroughly thought policy, is the need of the hour. At the same time, we have to increase the money, right, the money that we invest in our health. The budget should go up. New hospitals, and a couple of days ago we talked about this thing as well, and I would like to add here that if you see graduate plus postgraduate seats every year, we are producing what, 1 lakh doctors every year in both graduates and postgraduates. Do you think this is enough for 1.3 billion populated country? Not at all. We need more medical colleges. Apart from that, we need more training for associated staffs like nurses and other staff. We need to train them as well, right? Primary healthcare can be done by nurses. There are many experienced nurses. If you compare it with the USA or other countries, then you find that in India, a nurse who has worked for 20 years, right, she would be knowing many things. She has experience and everything, but then as well she cannot do anything without instruction of doctor. She's not allowed to do. When I say she cannot, I mean to say she's not allowed to do or take any decisions. But if you see other countries, then in fact in African countries as well, we are able to see positive results when you allow a bit of free hand to nurses. Of course you have to train them, but this is something through which we can. So we need a more holistic approach here in this case as well. This one is about let the chips fall where they may. It is about Maldives. So now let me show you where Maldives is. This is our country India, and this is Maldives here. This is Indian Ocean, of course. And a bit of a zoomed map. I would like to highlight a couple of important things to all of you. This is its capital, Male, and see here you have this Kardia channel, then you have this Veymandu channel, and the important one is this one. When I say important, because I think you can be asked a question on this thing. Equatorial channel. Equator is 0 degree, right? So you can also term this thing as 0 degree channel. So keep this thing in mind, that if you are asked a question in your prelims regarding 0 degree channel, then this is from which country you find the 0 degree channel passing. Remember, it is Maldives. Don't forget this thing, right? So here you have one more map. I have added one more picture, and you can see here this is equator here, and then you have many different islands here. A couple of days ago as well, this was on board, so I'm sure you know many other things as well regarding Maldives now, right? So dealing with the unfolding political drama in the Maldives requires a great deal of craft, patience and diplomacy. A couple of days ago, you know, I told you that in fact we discussed about this thing, that India has not done anything, and at present as well, if you go through this article, of course the writer is saying. And one more thing, I remember one more thing. You want me to write down the names of these writers? Very easy. thehindu.com. You have opinion section. If you open that, you will find the names of the person who has written this article. So please, this sort of request, please don't throw this sort of request. They are unnecessary, right? Right. So here we talked about this thing, that India has not taken a tough stand. When I say tough, whatever it may be in terms of military wise, it may be in terms of you can say carrots and sticks. We haven't applied things here in our neighborhood, and because of this thing, we see very easily whenever Bangladesh is having a chat with China, we feel we are in a panic state. Same thing applies with Nepal, same thing applies with Afghanistan as well, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Myanmar. You know, this Rohingya thing going on for a very long period of time, and the stand taken by our government is not up to the mark, right? If you see the speech of our president and prime minister in United Nations and other platforms, then we are talking about humanity and Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and other things. But when it comes to this sort of problems, right, all of the sudden our strategy is a bit different. So this, at the end of the day, it does not means it is not creating that respect, right, that we are trying to get. So we talked about this thing, and here this article is saying that whatever is going on in Maldives, one thing is that we cannot use force. We should not use force here. And now, after going through this article, there are many things on which I think, yes, we should not use force, because the thing is that, first of all, it is not our job at all. It is not our business to restore democracy and civil liberties in our neighborhood, right? We can persuade them, we can inspire them, but we cannot force them. And now those days are gone when you can do whatever you like with small countries or tiny countries like Maldives and Sri Lanka and other countries, right? Those days are gone. And in fact, you have one of the best example in the world, Cuba versus United States of America. See the result, right? USA tried its all the things that it can do, right? All the tricks in its book, but it was not able to, you can say, conquer or change the mind of the people of Cuba. So it's not necessary that if you are a small country and if you are a big country, then you can do whatever, you can misbehave with small countries, right? This is not these things, they don't work. This small countries, they do have their own trick of survival, right? What they will do is their trick or you can say the oldest trick in their playbook is that they will create a sort of scenario where two big giants, right, they will compete with each other, and at the end of the day, it is the small country that will benefit. So same thing happens here in Maldives as well. You have China, and then you have India, and one of the, as I told you, that one of the biggest you can say fear of India at present, and the reason why it is observing and it is a bit worried about this Maldives is not about it's a democracy. It is more about this dragon, the play of dragon that is you can say expanding or increasing in Indian Ocean, and this balance of power game that is going on between India and China, right? This is the thing about which India is worried about. Now the other thing is that we have lost steadily, we have lost our status or stature in our neighborhood, and if we do something and if the result is not the one that we are looking for, then it is going to diminish our image, whatever is left in our neighborhood. Now interventions, why this sort of intervention, particularly the military type one, is not going to be, or it may prove costly to us, is because when you say, for example, invade Maldives, the current president, he will get this emotional support of the people, right? He can play a victim card. Then we have example of this America and Iraq. They tried to remove this Saddam Hussein, and see the situation of Iraq at present. At present in our country, we have overtly Hindu right-wing government, and we are trying to enter into a Islamic country, that is Maldives. So this can create further hate. And one more thing we have to keep in mind when we talk about Maldives is that if you see the number of people, the ratio, when you compare with the population and people taking part in ISIS, then sadly Maldives is a country that is on the top of the table. That means many youngsters from Maldives, right, in huge amount. In terms of ratio, if you see, then if you compare, then you find that it is the biggest one. So this is a sad thing, and if we take a step like this thing, right, if this sort of steps can create this Wahhabism and other you can say ideologies that they are trying to penetrate here, then growing relationship between, we are trying to destroy or create cracks in this, but when we invade, in fact Beijing will support, it will pump up its support, and then the relationship will become even more stronger. We have 25,000 Indians living over there. You have United Nations as well, right? So you cannot do whatever you like, and then intervening would also be in breach of India's traditional approach to dealing with crisis in its neighborhood. We have never done this. Back in history, yes, we used some force and things like that, but at that point of time we were invited by these states. We have not taken a stand by our own. This one is about endgame in Bangladesh. It is about the political history of Bangladesh. These two parties here, you have Awami League and then you have this BNP. The lady that you can see on your screen, she belongs to this BNP party. They used to rule this Bangladesh, but from last 11 years they are out of power, and their party is falling down. They are in fact not able to perform the most basic function of opposition party. And for India, right, they are going to face election in 2019. Bangladesh is will go through election, general election, in January 2019, and India would of course love to see Sheikh Hasina to come back, or when I say come back, I mean to say that we want her to continue to be a PM, because under her leadership the relationship between Bangladesh and India are at its peak. This one is about this turf war. It is about stock exchanges, right? This NSC and BSC, they have said that they are not going to support or they are going to stop providing data feed and other support to overseas exchange that lists derivatives. What they are saying is that when we provide them data and other important information, it is creating liquidity issue. Liquidity basically means that people are not investing that much, or people are taking away their money from Indian market and they are investing it abroad. So this sort of things are creating liquidity issue. So they are not going to support it. But this article is editorially saying that we have to do some structural changes and things like that. We have to increase the timing or hours when these exchanges are in business and other things. So not that important in terms of, if you want, you can go through a one-time read is more than enough. Very important item here is about Prime Minister's visit to UAE. Yesterday we talked about Palestine. Today we are talking about this UAE, and Prime Minister addressed this World Government Summit, and in his interaction with the leaders and the people who took part in this World Government Summit, he said that we have to assimilate, or he talked about this importance of assimilating technology with governance, the fruits or the things that we can achieve when we marry this technology with governance. He also talked about that cyberspace should be used for progress and not for radicalization. This is the biggest problem with the internet, that brainwashing and other things, right? We have talked about, I have given you this term as well, isn't it? Terror process outsourcing. Terror process outsourcing can be done with the help of this internet. Apart from that, they together, India and UAE, they condemned indirectly Pakistan for this terrorism and other things, its support and breeding ground that is provided by Pakistan here. Remember, for a very long period of time, these Gulf countries, they used to rely on Pakistan for its security need, but the way since 2008 now, they realize, and the whole world is knowing the role of Pakistan, so they are moving away from Pakistan. And here you can see the map of UAE. Important bits here: Persian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz, you have Gulf of Oman here, then you have other Arabic countries here, so please go through it. Here you have all these important emirates or kingdoms of this United Arab Emirate. Together they become one country, UAE. Now India and UAE will hold a bilateral naval exercise. UAE or these Arabic countries, they were not that good with their navy. But this thing will of course take our bilateral relationship to altogether to a new level, and this is maritime security would be a crucial domain because their oil and other important things, important exports, right? It is very important that it is protected. So naval relation between India and UAE is a good thing for both the countries. We talked about the sovereign wealth fund as well, money coming from Abu Dhabi being invested here in infrastructure, and this will help us in our development. For them, it is investing money in a one of the fastest economy in the world. Apart from that, they talked about this Hindu temple that is going to be constructed for the first time in Abu Dhabi, and this is not about just any religion, right? It is about India, right? And we have Muslims in our country. UAE, we know it is a Muslim country predominantly. And India, if you go back to the history, then you find that Arab traders, even before Prophet Muhammad, right, they used to come here for business. And after the establishment of Islam, they accepted Islam, and since then this region they are following Islam religion. And most of the time throughout the history, the relationship between Arab world and India has always been cordial. And this sort of gestures, right, this will truly, you can say, spread the fragrance of India. Now, I'm not talking about this political Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the true flavor of our country, or the true fragrance. This one is about a Russian aeroplane has got crashed, and here you find a term called Urals, right, Ural Mountains. So please do locate this in your atlas. This is about interlocutor R N Ravi. Remember, here you find the word interlocutor, but when it comes to Jammu and Kashmir, we find this term special representative. There is a difference between interlocutor and special representative, and if you want to know more about it, then I have delivered a special video lecture on this. Dineshwar Sharma, the time when he was appointed as special representative. So I have given a bit of light. I have thrown some light on this interlocutor versus this thing. So R N Ravi is the interlocutor of Nagaland, right? So keep this thing in mind. Basically, it is about his letter, and at present things are going a bit smooth as far as this upcoming elections are concerned. Supreme Court is not happy about central government's stand when it comes to dealing with those children who are in conflict with the law. So this is the Supreme Court has said that virtually there is no implementation from central government. Intergovernment defense deals are going to be carried on at intergovernmental governmental level. That means central government or top government or top layer of both the countries, right? The top government, or the top layer of government, in fact, they are the ones who are going to execute all the deals, this major defense deals, because defense procurement procedure, they are taking too much time, and we have seen cancellations and things like that. And when you have two top layers of government dealing with each other, then there are this corruption and other things, right? They are not visible. So this is a good thing. And this one is about Pakistan's Iron Lady, right? She has passed away. Here is a brief profile of hers. You can go through it. Niti Aayog bats for separate depth office. At present, it is the RBI who looks after this part of this government's depth. But Niti Aayog is saying that we should have an independent depth management office that is dedicated just looking after this focused. The only focus of this new independent debt management is to look after this depth of the government. So the less interest you pay, this money you can utilize for other purposes. This one is about National Health Protection Scheme. We have already talked about it. You have one interesting thing here called trust-based model, right? So go through it. A bit important and not that important, but again I thought let me present it to you guys. You have this. We have found 3 new eel species, just in case if they ask you a question on this thing. So we have found it from Bay of Bengal, right? Not from Western Ghats this time. So, and that's your answers your new questions. One is pertaining to this Arab traveler, so do go through it, and make sure you check studyiq.com. At present up to 50%, which is not bad, and I will see you all soon. Enjoy your studies. Jai Hind.